Welcome to the Top 25 Today. I'm your host, Carrie Roberts, and today's interview is part of our Top 25 Today voice technology companies that can help your business scale. And joining me today is one of those voice technology companies, Voicify, and their CTO and co-founder, Mr. Nick Laidlaw. Welcome, Nick. Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me, Carrie.
So Nick, you have been in technology pretty much your entire career. Can you talk a little bit about why you and your co-founder started Voicify and a little bit about the history into where it is today?
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. It's been a long time, about 25 years in the tech industry. I've been part of startups, ran a digital agency for a good portion of my career. As a CTO, I'm a little bit different. I actually still like to write code. But this effectively helps me to lead teams, and I like to have firsthand knowledge of what I'm standing behind. And because of that, it's one of the reasons we started Voicify in 2018, recognizing where technology was headed in terms of web first, then mobile, social, and now voice. And we were also seeing that brands will go where the consumers are. The same trend, web, mobile, social, and now voice. But then the question is, how do you do it? As a brand, you see that there are so many consumers using Amazon Alexa and Google Assistant, but what's the process? And I learned that process firsthand some years ago where before starting Voicify, I was writing voice apps from scratch, kind of by hand. And it takes a long time to do something meaningful. The standards aren't really set across the different platforms, and it can be really expensive if you're going to have a whole team doing the R&D to develop from scratch, to deploy to Amazon and deploy to Google. So we created Voicify to make it much easier for brands and organizations to create cross-platform voice applications. They can do this efficiently and intuitively using our platform. You don't have to be a technical person, and you can just build in one place and deploy to many with consistency.
Yeah, I think that's really important for those that are not technical to be able to have an option like Voicify. Can you tell us a little bit more about the type of businesses that you serve specifically?
Yeah, so we didn't really start out targeting a specific vertical because we knew that we were going to be really enabling brands and organizations, regardless of their vertical. We're enabling them to use a new channel. So as a result, we work with businesses across different industry verticals and different sizes, whether it's medium-sized businesses up through enterprise, and in some cases, small businesses. But we're working in verticals across the board like healthcare, sports and entertainment, financial services, government and municipalities, retail, nonprofit, you name it. And like I was saying before, the reason why is that we're really helping these organizations to get a jump start into the space and to do it effectively.
Can you tell us a little bit more about how you are helping these businesses use voice technology to scale their business and make their clients happy?
Yeah, and when I think of scale, I also think about it in terms of digital maturity in a channel. Because when it comes to a new technical channel like voice, regardless of size, a lot of businesses are kind of starting from the same point. It's almost like the days when businesses were first building websites back in the 90s. Everyone was kind of starting from the same spot, trying to figure out, how do I get started? What are the tools that I can use? And then how can I do this more effectively? We're seeing some of the same things happening within voice. And what we find is that most businesses will start off building experiences that are just explaining their products, explaining their services, maybe providing information about customer support. These are kind of FAQ types of conversations. And we support that within our platform very easily. It's just kind of, point and click, fill out a few fields. It's super easy. But then as they become more familiar with the channel, and this is kind of where the maturity comes into play, they start to build out more immersive experiences. They start to realize that you can use voice as a storytelling tool. And you can create a story in a much more immersive way with voice than perhaps that you could do with web or with mobile. It's in some cases it's a little bit of like choose your own adventure via voice, and it's fun for consumers and users to do that. But next, organizations start thinking about scaling operationally and thinking about, well, how do we transact? And that's where commerce comes into play. Handling account maintenance, for example, being able to log in and find out information about products, checking your order status, and more. So these are tasks that generally use our integration framework. And that's really where our platform, when it comes to scaling and maturity, takes its final turn, where organizations can really leverage our platform to do whatever they want.
Yeah, I think it's great that you're talking about there's kind of steps and phases to this, and that there is an element where you can have this kind of monetization that comes from voice technology as well. Can you share with us maybe some success stories you have of your clients where they've been able to scale their business using voice technology?
Yeah, so I have a couple of examples in mind. The first one that comes to my mind is Wolverine Worldwide. It's the parent company for brands like Saucony, Merrell, Keds, Sperry, and others. And they're following a similar journey like I was just talking about. As an example, Saucony started off building out an application or voice experience about running tips. So running enthusiasts can just learn more information and be inspired. Merrell did something similar. But then Merrell kind of moved fairly quickly into that maturity model where they built out an integration with the hiking project API, which allows hiking enthusiasts to be anywhere in the country and just ask their phone, find a trail near me, or find a trail near whatever city or town they may be in. And you can get information about the trails closest by, and you can even get information about exactly where it is and have a text message sent to your phone. So that's kind of that next step in the progression. And for them, they're even continuing as a parent company to provide customer service experiences for all of their brands. And this is a way to help ease call center burden, especially in these times when call centers are just getting crushed. And if you can show a way to kind of siphon off some of that traffic to a live person, to a voice assistant, this is a way to really drive ROI and to just increase efficiency.
Yeah, I think that's a really great example of how that works as well. Like you said, starting at one phase, going to the second, and then you're helping with kind of this call center problem as well. Can you tell us a little bit more about your brand specifically? What makes Voicify unique? In other words, why should a company choose you over your competitors?
Yeah, it's a thoughtful question. And I think Voicify is unique because we're very easy to use. Our platform is simple to use. That's one side of the equation, but we don't sacrifice that ability for an organization to scale. So if you're a medium-sized business and you're starting off with just FAQ style content, that's great. But as you start to move up into that maturity model, you can really grow into those integrations and really start to take advantage of commerce capabilities. So that's something that's really unique about what we provide. And from a coder's perspective, it's kind of hard to find a product that you can put in the hands of a non-technical team and a technical team and keep them both happy. So we love it when we hear that it's easy to use from our non-technical users, and we're just as happy when we hear development teams that say, hey, we didn't realize that we can essentially build anything around voice without the technical team having to know a whole lot about the voice paradigm. They're able to code the way that they like to code. So This is a really unique ability that we have to kind of serve both audiences.
And where can people learn more if they want to look at Voicify and see what you all are doing, whether it's a website or on social media?
Yeah, so obviously you can find us at voicify.com. We're also on Twitter at Voicify. And you can also, for example, ask your Alexa, you can say, ask Voicify to tell me about the interview with Carrie Roberts. So we'll give you a little bit more information about this talk, and you can find out more about what we have to offer.
Well, thank you so much, Nick, for sharing your insight and telling us more about Voicify and how it's helping businesses scale with voice technology.
Thanks so much. It was my pleasure. And thanks again for having me.